Oh, it's pretty stormy out there, and it knocked our power out. So
I'm afraid it's gonna go out like right now.
it might
again.
go out again.
Okay, if it goes out again, what do we do?
I don't know. We'll mess with it. Sorry, guys.
Why is there a 16-minute countdown?
I don't know. We're live now.
We only have 3 minutes, or we only have 3 chapters left, so we should be able to get through them.
Yeah.
I would hope.
Yeah. Let's.
So,
Woohoo!
man, we had a real good crowd there for a while.
I know.
Wow, people of little faith.
I know. We're back though. It wasn't our fault, guys.
Yeah, you can't blame that one on us. All right. Is that recording now?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
The stuff we just said won't be included.
Sure. So, back to it. Catelyn 6, wherein Edmure rides out. Catelyn prays and reflects. She learns of Penrose's death, and we find out that Roose is heading to Harrenhal, which will have payoff in Arya's chapter. Lannister men try to ford the river multiple times and get thrown back, and they fail. She gets Cleo's Frey real drunk and talks to him and finds out about the prisoner of war exchange terms, where she's like, oh, hey, they're willing to trade Arya and Sansa for Jaime. Then the Battle of Stone Mill is relayed to them, wherein the Mountain led a large force that, again, failed, and now Tywin is marching southeast. Cool.
So for me in this chapter, I'm most interested by the contemplative, basically nature of it and the things going on with Catelyn. I didn't care at all about the battles. So I want to hear, for those who did find them interesting, tell us about them. What'd you like?
Go ahead.
I like reading strategy, man.
Yes.
I like reading. So many times when we hear about battles, we hear about them after the fact, and we're like, oh, we heard that it went really well, or it didn't go that well. But I like seeing the nitty-gritty realism parts of these battles and finding out, when we read about wars in our world, World War I, World War II, whatever, and we read about, oh, there was a battle that went really well, or there was the Somme and it didn't go well. It's really hard to think about the specifics and the men on the ground and what exactly is causing the tides of war to turn. So I really like that we get the detail about, hey, so they're on one side of the river, they want to get to the other side of the river. They go to the shallow parts of the river and try to cross it. But on the other side defending them, they have a lot of trees that they can hide behind. They can shoot from the trees into this empty field where they have no cover. If they get hit while they're crossing the river, they're going to fall and drown or get swept away. I like seeing the bodies get swept down the river and then they see them like passing beneath the castle. And I just like seeing it on such a individualistic level of like, these are the things that change wars, If there was tree cover, maybe they could have gotten over. And it's just like it's the smallest molecular level of these big wars that we learn about, usually just from a bird's eye point of view. So that's why I like getting into it like this.
From a writing perspective, from a novelization perspective, what I love is that we're getting some details in this chapter that we've seen previously play out on a micro level in the Davos chapter. Davos talks about the torches on the walls of Storm's End causing night blindness in the guards there, which allows him to slip in unnoticed. However, he also talks about how he knows the bay and where the rocks are and how to navigate the waters. Similarly, or dissimilarly, I suppose, in a way, in this chapter, we get mentioned how the Lannister army thought that the torches of the Tully army would cause night blindness and they would be able to slip in unawares. However, they were unknowledgeable about the ford and the treachery therein that lies under the water. So, the chat is wrong. Yes, it is. So, I liked that. I liked that we get things from a different perspective in different scenarios play out, where Davos is so sure of this is a tactic that works. And the Lannisters, in this case, were so sure of this is a tactic that works. However, so many of them found themselves drowning or tripping or having to move so slowly that they were sitting ducks, and because of the trees that James mentioned. So I think that there's a lot of detail in these battles, even though ultimately they don't have the same kind of weight as some of the other battles in terms of characters that we care about, or real kind of consequences for the war. The Mountain makes it, So,
and as E. Meckham's point out, I like maps.
I think the reason I have a hard time with the battle stuff too is I have a really hard time visualizing it. I get really confused. I didn't understand what Catelyn was looking at.
I think she's on the deck of like Hoster Tully's solar, right?
Okay.
In the castle, and she's looking
Like how far away though?
Pretty far.
So how can she see one guy like stumbling into a
yeah,
river?
that bugged me as well.
And that might be an issue with George R. R. Martin and his distances, but I imagine it's like just real small, you know? Real small.
Yeah,
off in the
I think
distance.
that's why I got kind of frustrated with it because I have a really hard time visualizing like spatial like that kind of stuff happening.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I can appreciate it from a macro perspective because, and I appreciate, it's not my favorite, but I appreciate what you're saying, that these small actions piled up amounted to Tywin's army not feeling like it was worth it to keep trying and then to turn southeast. And as we'll learn, that becomes a major development in who will take King's Landing. So these small, tiny battles become incredibly important.
Yeah, and it's because they had tree cover, you know? I love that. Yeah. I also like how this begins with Edmure saying, "Tell father I've gone to make him proud." And she says, "He was always proud of you." And he says, "I mean to give him better reason than mere birth." And I love it when characters like Edmure, like Renly, bring up their issues with the importance placed on birth in this society and world. Because it's just always something that's fascinated me, that humans for so long went with the idea of like, oh, you were born this way, that means you're better than everyone else.
I also really like Edmure's insecurity about being the son and younger son. He has older siblings, even though he is the firstborn son. Nonetheless, he's the son of this like war hero, you know, this like well-respected. And between Hoster and Brynden, you know, like there's a lot to live up to in the Tullys, and you know, so he's seeking glory. 100% he's seeking glory to his folly, ultimately. But things seem to go well for him, but we all know that it's just a ruse.
Just a ruse?
I'm trying to figure out. This is the stuff where like I genuinely get so confused. So okay, they're coming up. The Lancers are coming up from Harrenhal.
Yeah.
Where are they trying to cross first?
The Red Fork.
Okay.
So see, there's that little bit of the Red Fork that's in front of River Run.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to cross there.
Okay.
Harrenhal's
Why are they
over
trying
here.
to cross? Like, where are they, or is it just like?
That's just the only way to get to River Run. And that's the only way that's the most direct way to get to the Westerlands.
Okay.
Which is where Robb is. They're
Okay,
trying to get
but
to
then
the River
Edmure's
Road.
mistake is he keeps fighting them off, and it's driving them closer and closer to King's Landing.
Right.
Got it. Got it.
Like, just that little bit of resistance is enough to make... Or, I think we learn later that Tywin is just... It's all
right
fake.
in this chapter that
Brienne-
Brienne points it out.
Yeah.
And he's just like prodding.
No,
and
no,
looking
but
for-
even this, because Catelyn does say towards the end of this chapter, the fist came, and it was... But they still threw them back. She gets the note from Edmure, and it's victory, my lady, and Gregor Clegane lost his horse and took 12 wounds and all that. But even that is all fake, because
don't think
Tywin
it's
is
fake.
still turning back.
I don't think he was ever I think he meant to go west.
And then he found some resistance and was like, fuck it, we're going to go back.
Yeah. So it was just...
I couldn't remember if
it
we
was-
found out later.
No, it's just enough resistance that they decide, okay, this is not worth it, we're going to turn back. And that's when riders are able to get to them.
Interesting.
Hey,
What are you doing? You making fun of us?
No, I'm just having fun.
I can watch this later.
We didn't do anything.
On 650, so just another little fact that they dropped here that you should really know. When she's talking about, I gave Brandon my favor to wear and never comforted Peter once after he was wounded,
Yes,
nor
important.
bid him farewell when father sent him off. So this is the fact that after Brandon and Peter had their duel and Peter was wounded, that was it. She never saw him again after the duel until in King's Landing. And I think that point has been made before, but this is just supporting evidence, which will come in handy later with the thing that we spoiled last week.
This page really stood out to me because
Which page?
650, Catelyn she's realizing that she's so identified herself with doing her duty, and now that she doesn't know what that is, she's also realizing it's always about her identity has been meeting other people's needs and wants and not hers. Like she was first going to be the son because Hoster didn't have a son, and then was going to be the lady because Hoster no longer had a wife, and was going to marry Brandon and then Ned. It's always been about, you know, the men in her life, and even her children. I think she feels really lost with not having a duty to do.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I have a question that I forgot to bring up in Davos. Why was Cortnay Penrose so resistant to the idea of just handing over Edric Storm? Why do you care that much?
I think because he knew that ill would befall the boy. I think he's just trying to. He's
not
a
his
true
own-
knight trying to protect an innocent life.
I think
You
that
think
Catelyn is
a true knight,
Courtney Penrose is a true
Yeah.
knight.
Well,
and that's why?
I think he also has the same idea that Kat does, where he knows that Stannis is going to parade this kid around and be like, look, this
Yeah.
isn't Joffrey. Or this
Well, why would
isn't.
he care about that? He was sworn to Renly, not Joffrey.
But he doesn't want Stannis to be king. I don't think he just want. I just think he doesn't want to
I
give
think he
Stannis
doesn't
any more
want
ammo.
Stannis to be king. I think he.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to protect the boy. He doesn't trust
By
Stannis.
being the man?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think we didn't talk about it when we talked about it that much, but that Stannis doesn't appreciate a man doing his duty when that's all he cares about was just smacked of hypocrisy. But I think Catelyn makes a good guess as to what he's going to do with Edric Storm.
Yeah, it's a great guess.
Just, it's wrong.
Well, she doesn't know
It's
about
not
that
entirely
magic.
wrong.
No?
I mean, like,
mostly
you know,
wrong.
Cersei killed the Robert's bastards for a reason.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah, we get Ramsay's
the
name.
first Ramsay, right?
On page
yeah.
654, when Roose writes them a letter saying, so, okay, here's a question. Does Roose know that Ramsay's not dead?
I don't think so.
Does Roose actually believe that Ramsay was killed?
I think it
Right?
could go either way.
Yeah, I
Because
didn't
if
think of
Ramsay
that.
was dead, Roose doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, for sure.
Roose doesn't
and
give a
I tend to side with the idea that he does think Ramsay's actually dead because what? He's just getting letters from
Yeah,
Ravens.
right, yeah.
And if you get a letter saying, "Hey, Ramsay's
Yeah,
dead,"
it'd
Yeah,
be
like Ramsay's not in a position to send his own Raven yet.
No.
it'd be hard for them to like scheme.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're not in the position to do so. So it appears as though a fate he no doubt earned. Tainted blood is ever treacherous.
And I
This
just
is
want to...
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I want to point out that the way he frames this is interesting given what will happen at Harrenhal. He's marching on Harrenhal, a strong castle, well garrisoned, but his grace shall have it, if I must kill every living soul within to make it so. He hoped his grace would weigh that against the crimes of his bastard son. So he's framing it as if there is a battle that's going to take place. That it's going well, Harrenhal's pretty strong, but if the king commands it, I will do it. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how that happens and if Roose Bolton can make a deal to have things go his way with very little bloodshed. He will.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that more in the Arya chapter because
The
I have
Roose
questions.
is on the loose.
The Roose is on the loose.
Yeah, I do want to talk
Also,
about
that
Poor
chapter
Gressel.
reveals that he's a vampire.
Yeah.
No, that's my favorite
Oh.
batshit crazy fan theory.
I love that Catelyn phrases things in terms of her own personal history. When she sees the Brax men
Oh,
trying to cross the ford, she thinks back to when Hoster tried to set her, or when Brax had come to Riverrun to propose a wedding, one of his sons to her, Eliza, and she just wonders like, oh, I wonder if that's the same son. Like everything has such a personal connection to her, and we see that throughout her POV a lot. It's just like, because who did she run into on the road in Game of Thrones?
Jason Mouse.
Yeah, Jason Mallister, and she was like, "Oh, here's a guy who like sworn to my father, doesn't recognize me." She always thinks about things in terms of her history and like just the way lords are sworn to people, just the whole feudalism sense.
Oh, when they're talking about the passage I was talking about with the torches and the night blindness. There's the line, "Darkness was a chance ally at best."
Yeah, what are caltrops? Are those like spikes?
Wait,
that
what?
they put in the water? They're
I
traps of
believe
some
so,
sort?
yes.
I'm gonna look it up. I got it.
Where's that?
It's on page 656. As they waded in to breast their way across, men stepped in hidden pools and went down splashing, while others stumbled over stones or gashed their feet on the hidden caltrops.
Oh.
Anti-personnel weapon made up of 2 or more sharp nails or spines arranged in such a manner that one of them will always point upward.
Go to the images. No, the images.
That's a
That looks
a
no,
water
that's like an
caltrop
animal.
is a thing. It's like an animal.
Oh, they're
Oh.
like jacks. They
Yeah.
look like jacks.
Oh,
They're
cool.
large jacks.
Large, scary jacks.
You don't want to play with those jacks.
No.
Cool.
You wouldn't want to try to grab a bunch of them real fast. You would die. Your hands would get hurt.
Speaking of hurt,
What?
Come here.
Stakes are different.
speaking of
There
hurt
we go.
hands, that's what turns Catelyn back against Tyrion when she is talking with Cleo's Frey.
Yeah, she's almost, sympathetic towards him, and then she feels that, feels her hands.
Ever
that
since
wound.
the Eyrie, she has second guessed whether Tyrion actually had a hand in trying to kill Bran, whether he could be trusted in any way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important that the seed is planted here in her mind of there could be a trade, Jaime for Arya and Sansa.
Yes, and that is very important that seed gets planted. That's on 658. Lannister will exchange Arya and Sansa for his brother. Yeah.
I like that this is, in the chapter, a lot of what she's feeling is futility, purposelessness, and
Guilt.
and guilt. And she is trying to reassert her role as a mother and thinking about how she
No.
can possibly protect her children.
Yeah, I like that she never is able to let herself enjoy anything, and it makes me sad.
Yeah, because we've seen her blame herself for Ned, right? Like sending him down.
Yeah.
And here she's blaming herself for Sansa, too. After she finds out that, that this Sansa is not maybe doing as well as she's heard. On 659, 660, I told her there would be singers at the king's court, though. I told her she would hear music of all sorts, that her father would find some master to help her learn the high harp. Oh, gods, forgive me. Yeah, she just always blames herself.
Yeah.
I like the passage that follows that quote where she asked Brienne if she sang for Renly, and Brienne is just like so upset by it.
Yeah.
I like Catelyn and Brienne. Like earlier, Brienne, they have a really interesting exchange where we find out a little bit more about Brienne's upbringing. Her mother was dead, and that her father had like ladies,
I think that she didn't quite understand.
and that Brienne's hands are bigger than her dad's. Is that this part too?
Yeah,
s-
it's that chapter.
I still think Catelyn's a little unsympathetic towards Brienne.
Because
on
she's
659.
non-traditionally.
Yeah, and she says, "You know nothing." Oh no, that's towards Cleo's Frey. But Brienne fell in beside her silent. It is simpler for her, Catelyn thought, with a pang of envy. She envies Brienne, who, if she thought about it for a minute, she would have to understand the hard time that Brienne has in her life.
Yeah.
Looking as she does, having the goals and lifestyle that she does.
Yeah.
Come on, Catelyn.
I think they're both trying, but Brienne is having a little more success, probably because
They're both trying to
trying to understand each other.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's possibly because there are so many more Catelyns in the world than Briennes of what being a woman is, especially when they talk about how ladies die in childbirth and no one sings songs about them.
Yeah.
That children are their own kind of battles. She is
Yeah, you're
different
right.
than Catelyn, but she can appreciate those struggles.
And that's Brienne saying that?
Yeah.
Ladies die in childbirth. Yeah. That's definitely Brienne understanding Catelyn and her role in this society.
I think Brienne has a lot of respect for women. It comes out throughout the books, just in the way that she talks about women.
Yeah, because we've noted a few times when Catelyn doesn't exactly empathize with other women. Like, there's nothing sadder than an unfortunate-looking woman. But I don't know if we ever get Brienne thinking about, like, oh, that woman's so weak. Like, which would, like, be a Cersei thought.
Yeah.
Of, like, oh, this woman is weak and a disgrace to her gender because she's so weak. Brienne, I can't recall her point of view chapters, but at least from this, you know, and from her, you have a woman's kind of courage.
Yeah.
Is very empathetic towards other women, despite being so dissimilar from them.
I think Brienne overall is a very empathetic character.
Yeah, and
More so than I think a lot of the characters we encounter.
and like even the character who she has the hardest time empathizing with, Jaime, at first, she comes around to eventually.
Because they're OTP. Did I use that right?
Yes.
Yeah, good job, man.
I
They are.
want to believe that given the right set of circumstances, maybe it's two very different people being thrust together by a mission like Jaime and Brienne, of what I've seen in the show, that enough time together in this world that they could empathize and understand each other. I think most characters, except for your sociopaths, that could be true. Like, that's not going to happen with Tywin, that's not going to happen with the Mountain. But I don't know, I think if Brienne and Catelyn had more time together, they could be the best of friends.
I think that they would be very... No! I lost my pen.
Oh.
I think they could be a very good, like Brienne would be an amazing, like, captain of the guard for Catelyn.
Yeah.
Like, they would have a great working relationship.
Yeah.
Guys, don't be afraid to write in your books. Like, it's
Yeah.
it's a book. It's a mass market paperback. It's not like
You'll enjoy the
another
book
bound.
better the next time with your notes.
And apparently, you know, Lucy typed in 45. Apparently, this is the 45th chapter.
That can't
in this
be
book.
true.
That's
That
what
can't-
Clarence
No.
says.
I kind of want to see if that's true.
I
Lucy.
refuse to believe that, Clarence.
I really hope it is. Just show us your source so our minds can be blown. Any other thoughts on Catelyn 6, which is possibly the
Arya
45th
the end?
chapter? No,
Arya's
we have
the
Bran
end?
and Arya.
Oh,
Bran.
Bran, god damn it.
Hey.
Oh, I liked.
It's a div-
I liked
it's a
this.
chapter.
This might have been
It's
my
a-
favorite
it's a
chapter this
chapter.
reading.
Really?
Yeah, I
love
liked
chapters in
the-
this book.
I'm enjoying Bran a lot more this time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
Bran
I
6?
feel about Bran the way you feel about Jon and vice versa. Because Jon chapters, I'm bored out of my skull. I can't.
And I like them both.
Yeah.
So moving on to Bran 6, this is the chapter which has a very long wolf dream at first, and it's them smelling danger, and some are trying to
escape.
Escape or get back into the wall.
Oh,
or
they're trying to
into
get back
Winterfell.
into Winterfell.
Yeah, so
they're
they,
trying to
like-
escape from the Godswood.
Yes, yeah, and running up the tree and almost getting there, but falling, and it's the falling that triggers Bran to awaken, and then there's Theon walking into his chambers and saying that Bran has to yield the castle to him, and Bran's a little resistant at first, ends up doing it with the support of Luwin, and then Theon just making these proclamations about how he's going to run Winterfell now.
He's gonna be the best.
The best king.
The best.
And then
king.
Mikken, the armorer, speaks out against it, and he gets
R.I.P.
killed.
He's been around since the very beginning of
Yeah,
this book.
he made Needle.
And then,
Yeah.
and then Reek pledging his service to Theon, and Theon,
Ugh.
that first conversation
Theon being like,
that they have.
you smell, but whatever.
Yeah, and then Osha also swears fealty to Theon, which hurts Bran's feelings,
Yeah.
but don't worry, Bran. You wait. Just you wait.
Osha's a wildling. She's got like a system.
Yeah.
I do like, though, on a point that we made earlier about the Ironborn and their respect of a meritocracy.
Mm-hmm.
She knees that dude in the balls, and everyone's like, yep.
Yeah, exactly. I wrote the same thing. Like, here's this guy who, was it Stig?
Yeah, or whatever. Was it Stig? Stig's a guy. I know.
Yeah, it is Stig, the bald
Okay.
man,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So she, like, knees him in the balls, and the other Reavers sent up gales of laughter.
Yeah.
And I wrote meritocracy right next to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, he's one of ours, but she just kicked his ass, so.
And then, yeah, Theon's like, you'll do. But Theon, though, he's got such, like, an old, like, a continental view, even though Westeros isn't, you know what I mean, versus the Iron Islands, a continental view of, like, how this works. He's like, bend the knee and swear. Like, all this is very, like, Westerosi,
Yeah.
not
Not
Iron Islander.
And you gotta imagine what his men are thinking.
Iron Islanders would just kill all of them.
Yeah.
They're
would
probably
just
like,
go-
why is he taking warts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, why
What
are we taking these useless?
What was the point? That's
mouths to
it's
feed?
mouths to feed.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's clear his insecurity is driving him because he mentions, I'll be as good as Eddard Stark was to you. Like, he wants to prove that he's better than Ned. Or as good as. Like, it's important to him that the people he used to live with see his value.
I really like. I do really like the way that this scene is played in the show, because Bran in the show has such a like, what are you doing here?
It's
Yeah.
so funny.
Like,
and Theon's like,
attitude.
respect my authority.
Yeah. And Theon's such a shit.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of that in the text, but I was looking for it, and there's not as much. Like, Bran is more immediately, like,
Afraid.
afraid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I
shocked.
missed that, like, disrespect.
Yeah, I feel like
Because Theon deserves disrespect.
I wonder if Bran is just more afraid of the fact that this green dream is coming true
Oh,
before his
yeah,
eyes,
sure.
Yeah, we
not
get a lot more
of like
prophecy in the book.
Theon, because
Yeah.
no one's afraid of
Because they
Theon.
find out that Alibur,
Albelly?
Alibelly,
Ale belly?
Ale
Albelly.
belly.
Oh, Albelly.
Ale in the
belly.
belly.
Yeah,
He's
I
got
get
a
it
beer
now.
beer belly.
That's funny. He gets killed, as was
Poor
prophesized,
guy.
and
That
then by
makes me
the
feel bad.
by the end of the chapter, Micken is killed. The Maester's still alive though, right?
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
But he was
Maester
the third.
Lewin?
No, Maester, or was it
The Septon.
Septon Shale?
Septon Shale. He's still alive in this chapter because he was the third death prophesized in that green dream.
Okay.
So we can expect his death pretty soon.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about this wolf dream? The 3-page wolf dream that starts us off.
I thought it was.
Long wolf.
It was
It is
a long
long.
wolf dream. I'm not a huge fan of wolf dreams.
I thought it was interesting the way memories of between Summer's memories
Yeah.
and Bran's memories are mixed.
Yeah.
Because it looks to me like, you definitely have Summer thinking about, oh yeah, I used to have a brother from long ago. It was white, eyes of red, or eyes of blood. And then, there's phrasing later where Summer's thinking, oh, okay, well, man cubs, they can do this. But then in one paragraph on 665 it's saying it was an easy tree for a boy to climb. And
Yeah.
I don't think Summer would use the phrasing a boy. I think that's Bran thinking that.
Yeah, he remembered how it was to climb that. Just
I-
top of that paragraph.
I think that George struggles to write the wolves. Like, as much as I laud him for different points of view, the wolves are tedious.
Oh, really?
I
enjoyed
really think so.
I like the way they encounter the worlds more through smell and through sense, especially the way smell is informing them. Thinking about like, oh, stranger danger, stranger danger, death, and that they can smell fear. I like the way they also think of the way men live with their caves of stone, and that they hide under
man rock.
man rocks when it's
Man
raining.
rock.
A wet night to drive men into their holes. What did you make of the whispers? The italicized.
I think those are thoughts of Bran bleeding into him. Locked, something whispered, chained. I think those are, Bran seeing them through Summer's eyes, thinking them in Bran's mind, and then Summer getting like a shadow of that thought. That's my thought. I could be wrong.
Gressel, what would make you like these more?
If they were shorter, which they become shorter.
Okay, that's all.
Like 3 long pages of like this description is very tedious to me. And like when we get warging later on, it becomes much more connected to Bran, and we get more Bran in it. Like, I don't really need to know what Summer. I don't know. It's just I just find it very tedious,
Well,
and
I
I find Bran chapters mostly to be kind of tedious, and I think that's because Bran himself doesn't have much of a personality compared to a lot of the other POVs. Defend Bran as a personality.
I just want to talk about just the length. Narratively, the dream, for those who are on a first read, I like the perspective of sensing visitors, strangers coming in, and how that would work from the wolves' point of view, and guessing that it's Theon, but maybe it's that the reveal of what it is makes the length of
Sure.
it seem unnecessary.
I like that.
Yeah.
Also, Bran's a kid. He's just a kid.
Also,
Whatever. Arya's a kid.
I like that we experience what Bran is experiencing through these wolves, so that later when he's yearning for the wolf dream, awake I'm still broken, but when I sleep, when I'm summer, I can run and fight and hear and smell. I think that has more impact reading 3 pages of him experiencing
Yeah,
these
when
things.
you like really get a sense of what it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's
I
like
think
you're living
But I think
as
it's
summer.
I think it's utilized better later when there's more of Bran in the wolf. When Bran is more cognizant of experiencing that, when he's not in it, I feel more for it. Like later in Storm and in Dance, when we get that Bran not warging, it pains him that he's not warging, and that's something that I think is. And I know that he's got to learn it and whatever, but it's just frustrating that like Bran doesn't have much of a personality, much of his own unique voice. Summer definitely doesn't, beyond things like man cubs and man stones and like these like clunky descriptions of things from. I just think it's a difficult thing to do, and George stumbles a little bit with it. He's so successful with so many things.
All right.
Okay.
Is it important that a bird to White Harbor gets away?
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
That's how Rob eventually hears that
Oh,
Theon's
okay.
taken it.
Okay. I underlined it and starred it. The bird to White Harbor, which is the seat of House Manderley. It's our boys.
I wish we knew their words.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just burps.
Yeah.
Another mention of "You Are the Stark" in Winterfell. Is that Lewin? Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking to Bran and trying to explain the mindset of the Iron Islanders. Cruel places breed cruel people. Remember that as you deal with these Iron Men. And yeah, him just saying it was too little, too late for Theon, and just counting Theon among the Iron Islanders, which, to be fair, he acts like it in this chapter. Such a dick.
Yeah. But he's in like this weird halfway place where he's not either.
Yeah.
Because he uses so many, like we were saying, he uses so many mainlander terms like ward
And
and
strategies.
the way he's going about it. But then everyone in Winterfell is like, oh, these Iron Men, and they see him as kind of wild and like
The
just
Iron-
uncivil.
The Iron Islanders see him as a mainlander, and the mainlanders see him as an
Yeah,
Iron
so
Islander.
he's just nothing.
Yeah.
I also think it's important that like none of the Islanders want Winterfell.
Yeah.
They don't want
No.
He's the only one who wants it. They're like, this is a waste of
it.
time.
Yeah,
As Asha will point out later, there's a way to do this, and it's to take Bran and Rickon as hostage and go back to Pike. Staying there doesn't do anything but...
Yeah, taking them as hostages
well,
would definitely be the
raising,
best choice.
taking it and raising it would deal, as taking it later does, like deal a huge blow to morale. Like it's a moral victory. But strategically, they can't hold it.
So you're saying they should have raised it.
They should have raised Winterfell and taken Bran and Rickon back to Pike and been like, hey, Rob.
Yes, that would have been the most.
That would have definitely been the
And
smartest
but
move.
Theon can't
But
do that.
Theon
He has too much pride.
has
Yeah.
the
And he also wants to, it's all about his insecurity. He wants to be the leader of Winterfell and have everyone praise him. Also, and he's already making mistakes where he underestimates Reek
Oh, yeah.
and
God.
overconfidently is sharing his plans. It's like, hey, my uncle's going here, my sister's going here. Just telling people this.
In Theon's defense, none of us, like, we shouldn't know who Reek is.
Yeah.
fair.
You know?
Sure.
Like, when I first read these, the Reek reveal was nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
it was
too. Even though
insane.
I'd seen the show,
Yeah.
but it was still was like, I'm like, wait,
Because here he's like, Heek's me true name. And you're
Yeah.
like, okay,
and you're
so
like, oh,
there's
so
Heek
this is,
character.
and you're like, Ramsey's just somewhere.
Yeah, we'll get Ramsey. No, Heek's fucking Ramsey.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Sorry.
It's in the show.
Yeah. He just there's I mean, he knows OSHA, but this new guy has done nothing to demonstrate his value yet.
He's
Yeah.
sworn fealty to him, and that's all
Oh,
Theon wants.
Well, good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
all
glad
Theon
people who have
wants.
sworn fealties don't turn Theon, turn cloak.
Theon is the fucking worst.
Doesn't he also notice Jojen and Mira?
Yeah.
Where's
He
that
says
with-
like bad timing for you to swear your oath to Winterfell.
Oh yeah, here you'll stay, something like that.
Yeah.
I
He
hate
underestimates them. As
one of
well.
the things that I
Yes.
just got so annoyed at was when Reek is like, "Oh, Ramsay married the widow of Hornwood," and he's like, "That crone, was he blind? She has teats like empty wineskins, dry and
Yeah.
withered." And he's like, "That's not the point, sir. Like, that's not why."
Yeah.
Think for 2 seconds. Yeah.
And
Cool.
And poor Hodor.
I'm surprised they didn't just kill Hodor. He's a big, burly man.
Yeah, I guess
who-
he could be useful though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it is sad when they beat him
I
with
know.
the butts of their spear and he drops to the floor and he tries to shield himself with his hands.
For those shitbags, it's probably more fun to beat him.
Oh, right. Especially once
Yeah.
they realize, oh, this guy doesn't fight back.
Yeah.
This is great. This
Yeah.
giant punching
Yeah.
bag.
Right.
Oh, man. And then, yeah, Bran's hurt when Osha pledges herself to Theon. I thought you were a friend.
I thought it was interesting that old Nan had a story about Dagmar Cleftjaw.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. He's got...
Old man's got a story for everything.
And Cleftjaw's got a hell of a reputation.
He couldn't be killed. He just pushed the two halves of his head back together
Which, like,
and held
isn't
them till
far
they
from
healed.
the truth.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Kind of what happened. Anything else on these Bran chapter?
No.
I don't know why I slipped into that. But
Yeah. Okay.
Arya 9, another long chapter, but it's a good
It
one.
was a good one.
This is like kind of the climax of her.
This is Weasel
time at-
Soup.
Weasel
Weasel
Soup. Oh yeah, maybe they do keep Hodor so they can carry Bran. They don't want to do it. Good job, Caitlin.
Yeah.
Thanks. All right, Arya 9. This is, yeah, like we said, Weasel Soup. First she talks to Hot Pie, and then the Bloody Mummers arrive with a bunch of Northmen in tow. Bunch of Northmen. Arya goes to pray, and Jaqen shows up, interrupting her kind of half-assed prayers, and he's like, come on, man, I just need to close this account. Please give me a third name. And so she names him, and that freaks him out. It reminds me of how Mel gets freaked out when the Lord of Darkness is brought up, because you don't see Jaqen freaked out too often. But here he is, and he's like, please don't do that. And so she blackmails him into helping her to unname him. And that's when Hot Weasel Soup happens. Rorge and Biter and Jaqen all help her attack the guards, and then they release all the Northmen. And it turns out, you know what? Maybe they didn't have to do that at all. Because
Yeah.
it sounds like Vargo Hoat had already turned to be on the Northmen's side. But Jaqen changes his faces, poof, disappears, and Roose arrives. Vampire that he is, names Arya as his cupbearer, who's now going by the name Nan, giving her fourth or fifth name. And it ends with Amory Lorch in the bear pit with the dagger. How does Amory Lorch die in the show? Because it's not.
Jaqen kills him.
That's the third.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's
Oh,
the
it's one of the
first.
first two. But what happens
a
for
dart.
the third name?
He kills the guards so that they can escape.
Oh, she named. It's the same thing. She
Yeah,
names
she names him,
and,
and then he's like,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's essentially the same, but we don't get this Hot Weasel Soup, which is
We
so
don't get
I
Hot
like
Weasel
Hot
Soup.
Weasel
I like Hot
Soup.
Weasel
Such
Soup.
hijinks.
I like Robert Glover.
Yeah. What's
and
up, Joe?
the scale of Harrenhal in the books is so much bigger that
so much.
Yeah.
in the show
Yeah.
it just escaping is a very simple matter, but I love how just big and
And
creepy
I
the
just
place is.
I like the reveal that the whole time these Northmen were in it with
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
But-
get
and
out
it's like,
they're like,
fuck.
oh, was this Hoat's plan? Was this his plan all along? And they're like,
no.
Yeah, I like the clues
Whoops.
that are dropped before that, where one of them is saying, "Well, wait, we were promised," and Vargo just punches him in the face, being like, "Shut up."
Oh, and also when they get down, when they're coming out of the cells, they're not as injured as they appeared to be coming in.
Yeah, and Arya thinks, "Well, wait a minute, why weren't their feet and hands chopped off?"
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Okay, so it's clear that Roose bought Vargo Hoat and the Bloody Mummers.
Yep.
And
Yes.
that they are in on a ploy. Where does Tywin fit into this?
I think Tywin already is in it with Roose.
You think he's
I
already
think
in
he's
it?
already in it.
That's a pretty
don't.
good. That's a pretty good cover up though to be in it with Roose and then have Roose take over Harrenhal.
I think
You think he sacrifices Amory Lorch and what men he leaves behind there?
I could see him doing that.
I think they've Tywin has been in it with Roose since
Since they met at
at the Green Fort.
yeah.
That's
So
what I
that,
think.
I mean,
Because Tywin
supporting
didn't
evidence for
give
this.
chase.
Supporting evidence for this. Tywin leaves Harrenhal.
Yep.
You know, this doesn't happen under Tywin's watch. He leaves. Roos's men
timing is
shows up.
convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, he would have to be willing to sacrifice Amory Lorch because obviously he would get killed in this, but probably fine
Amory
with
Lorch
Tywin.
versus like all these Northmen.
Yeah.
I think he figured this probably.
So
could do.
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that it's going to happen later. I think that Tywin was leaving independent of Roose coming down. I think Roose came in because he left, but I don't think that they're allied yet. I
But
think
well, I mean,
I think it's going to happen. I think it's only going to happen after Tywin has taken King's Landing.
I disagree. I think Roose has every reason to betray Robb. He's a Bolton.
yeah.
Boltons don't like
Boltons
Starks.
don't like Starks.
But
he sees an
But
opportunity.
this theory is that, you know, it wasn't until Westerling or maybe Karstark that Roose was like, gotta betray
Here's
Robb.
the opportunity.
Yeah.
I think.
no.
Oh wait.
It's hard to say
It's
though,
hard to
like because
say.
we haven't read farther. So I think
Oh.
maybe once I read farther, my mind will change.
Because
But
he can.
what's up,
What's
Joel?
blowing Joel's mind?
Okay, this is something from later, but it's relevant. Okay. I could believe that he's already talking to Roose because I know that he is already talking to the Westerlings.
Yeah.
So,
Wait, who is? Tywin.
Tywin.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, never mind, I believe that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Tywin's got fingers all over the place.
Tywin is, like, we'll find out later that Tywin just said, hey, if Robb's in a position to spend time with your daughter, Lord Westerling, do it.
When do we find that out?
I don't know when we find out.
Is it later?
It's gotta be
I don't know.
Storm.
oh. So
I
it's-
know because of
okay.
other things.
Okay.
Jeez, so why did it spoil all these other people?
Sorry.
Wow. Joel.
But you guys know.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Oh.
Yeah, shit.
We'll find out.
Okay.
In any case,
Tansy.
Roose is a dick.
And hold on, more evidence. Caitlin
Caitlin and I talked about this when
Yeah.
she came over.
Caitlin's saying
to our
Amory
apartment
Lorch's
last
death at Harrenhal serves a purpose for Tywin and Storm. Is that because right now Amory Lorch is does he have Harrenhal? Is it his?
Emery Lorch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like the highest. Yeah.
Okay. So by removing him, it frees it up to give to someone.
Yeah. Well, no,
Well-
it's not like his castle.
Yeah, he's just
Oh,
there because
yeah.
the Lannister lions are still up.
Well,
Yeah.
then what's Caitlin talking about? That
I
it's
don't-
opportune.
I don't remember.
I'm
But
afraid to say because I'm like
Yeah.
I know she's farther ahead than me,
Yeah, she's
and I
up
don't
in this thing.
remember the books
We'll
that well.
We'll
find out later.
Yep. Oh, but I mean, I do Javier's point of like, why would Roose turn on Robb right now when he's winning the war? And could it just be
Because
that?
he can. Like, I don't know why you need.
Yeah, I don't think you need a reason.
justification beyond that.
But would it be safe to turn on someone winning the war?
Yeah, that's the best time to turn on them.
Well, not the best.
They
Well-
don't expect it.
I think, so let's say, for instance, that Tywin is making overtures to Roose right now. We have one reason that Roose would hold, besides General Bolton hatred for the Starks, that Roose's army was the one that was pitted against Tywin's. You know, Roose was used as a ruse.
Yes.
Roose.
Ruse. Because his army was meant to get defeated.
To lose,
And
yes.
to run away.
The ruse was for Roose to lose.
Oh God, yes. So he wouldn't have appreciated that, you know, because that's
Sure,
what
I
caused the Whispering
suppose.
Wood, like that enabled that to happen. So there's that, but I think that it's possible that after the news of the North being taken by the Ironborn, and then also Robb marrying or breaking his agreement with the Freys, then I think that Roose could for sure see the writing on the wall. Like, things are about to happen right after this that will strengthen the Lannisters and weaken the Starks greatly. And I think, so right now, it's not, I think he's hedging his bets. He hasn't clearly done anything treasonous, but after this, he'll start to.
I think that our perspectives are all skewed with the knowledge that Roose does.
Yeah, how about we just talk about this current storyline?
Like,
Because
as far as
We're a
we
little
know at
confused
this
right now.
point, that's not the case.
What is Janos Slint has Harrenhal?
no, Janos Slint was given Harrenhal, but Tyrion stripped him of that when
Yeah.
he sent him to the wall.
Okay, that's what I
Janos
thought.
Slint ain't got shit now.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I was confused.
We got a date with a block.
Back before the Bloody Mummers actually take over, I like how the chapter, for the first half, it's just about how things are different without the Lannister army there and without Wheeze.
Yeah, with Wee's gone, things are a little easier on her. Pink Eye's not quite as bad. It's kind of all...
She's feeling more
It's
like herself. Like,
gross.
Yeah.
like Syrio is much more on her mind again, and she feels like
I'm the
she can.
ghost.
Yeah,
She like
she's,
hangs out with her friends.
she says she could go where she would, and she feels quiet as a shadow. Like she can go and practice her swordsmanship in the.
in the woods.
Yeah.
I like how she's going around barefoot now after Jaqen was like, you should go barefoot.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
That's true, yeah.
You know?
And she spent spying on Gendry, thinking he's strong, watching those muscles.
Yeah, I know. I underlined that too.
Yeah,
like,
like,
she's so into
whoa.
him.
Yeah.
I'm all aboard that ship.
But Gendry's all about sword's a sword, a helm's a helm. He's just
gotta-
looking to
He has a
survive.
point though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, for sure. Why would it be better for him to do this shit at Winterfell?
Like
Yeah,
it'll just be the
do shit
same.
like
And he
that.
brings up the village and is like, didn't you learn anything
Mhm.
from where like we had this plan and then we got fucked?
Yeah.
It makes it like his life is as good as it could get right now, and their friendship means that he would like to help her, but she's asking him to give up everything when it's not going to get better.
Yeah, like it's probably not that much different than King's Landing. It might even be better.
Yeah.
He says that like this Smith is pretty decent to me.
I mean, that reminds me of just how Arya's perspective is good guys versus bad guys, whereas we run into common folk who are like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, like,
You know?
I just want to
Like, everyone sucks.
She's like, you can go smith for the good guys, and he's like,
Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, what is?
smithing is smithing.
Kinda sweating here.
Yeah.
As Pink Eye says when they eventually come in, when he wakes up to the fact that the castle has changed hands, he's like, well, Lord's a Lord, so we'll keep doing our job.
Yep, get back to work.
Uh-huh.
This chapter is the beginning of Arya eventually wanting to be a faceless man, I believe.
Yes,
Because
this is
on
the
681, she says, Jaqen made me brave again. He made me a ghost instead of a mouse. So she has this respect for Jaqen. And then, of course, when she asks him how he did all that, how he made the dog turn on Wheeze. And he's a
change
little,
his face.
yeah, she's very impressed by that. She's too astonished to be afraid of it. How'd you do that? Was it hard? And he says, no harder than taking a new name if you know the way. Show me. I want to do it too. And he says, come along. And she says, I've got shit to do. So he gives her this little rain check in the form of a coin.
And I love how in a chapter where at least twice we hear that Jaqen Hagar is once of the free city of Lorath, he says, give this coin to any man from Bravos. And I think that's interesting. That we've been led to believe that he's this man from one place.
Yeah.
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 And he gives up his identity. He says that a god has his due, and now a man must die. And like, Jaqen's time is
no
done.
more.
Yeah.
He turns into the man with the tight black curls.
A little detail I thought was cool when Arya's up in the trees and she sees the weirwood tree. She says, it looks just like the one in Winterfell from here, if only it had been. Then when she climbed down, she would have been home again and maybe find her father sitting under the weirwood where he always sat. I like that kind of hints at the future power of weirwoods, the idea that like you can look at one and be in another place.
Oh, yeah,
sure.
and that you can see
You can see
someone
in the
who's
past,
dead.
yeah.
Oh, good call.
It's a
good
little,
catch.
yeah, that stuck out to me and it made me sad. But some neat little foreshadowing.
So the weasel soup is a lot of fun.
Yeah. And now it starts with her having the chance to name anyone, to name Joffrey, because he promises, yeah, you can name anyone.
I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, eventually they will die. And she, what's the expression? Ass over apple carts on him? You know, pulls the wool? Well, something like that.
Yeah.
She gets one over on him, anyway, and names his name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not how you use that.
So that seems
Oh,
like
no.
a more. So to me, that's her being selfish because she names him in a ploy to escape. So she's
That's
like.
her being savvy.
But if she killed Joffrey, wouldn't that be better for like a lot of people? Or if she killed Tywin, wouldn't that be better for her brother? Instead, she's like, I just want to get out of here.
I suppose.
You know, she could
true.
continue, like we said, things aren't that bad for her right now. She could just continue doing this and kill off Joffrey or Tywin. But instead, she's like, no, I want to get the fuck out of here.
But she also realizes why it's been so good is because she was able to affect change, and she only affected change through Jaqen, so she needs Jaqen. It is selfish, but she's trying to get a better position for herself.
Yep. Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to hedge that thought a little bit because she does do that ploy to free all those Northmen, knowing that they can take the castle. So it's not just about her getting out. It's about, like,
It's about
securing
freeing her
Harrenhal.
father's men.
Yeah. So never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Idiot.
I'm thinking more about, like, show Arya, where she just runs off, you know?
Yeah.
Here it's like, now Harrenhal is the North's.
Yeah. So it happens by Vargo Hope bringing in these captive Northmen, and then Jaqen's ploy playing into what was already going to happen, apparently, anyway.
Yeah.
Joel, you should underline a description of New Jaqen.
I did.
Good.
With a crooked nose?
Yep.
My lord Castellan,
Oh, God.
God.
captive, Ruth Bolton thought to cross the river, but my brave companions cut his van to pieces, killed many, and then Bolton running. This their Lord Commander Glover, and the one behind is their heinous prey.
Good job.
I'll be here all week, reading anything you would like as Vargo Hope.
Swan's Way by Marcel Proust.
But yeah, Vargo Hope, man. There's a reason he was cut from the show,
Yeah.
and it was mostly that.
I'm reading Jaqen's new face description. Am I missing something
It's
here?
for later.
I
It's
know.
when we run into him. It's so we can be
Oh.
like, oh, yo, that's Jaqen.
Got it. Okay. I know. Yep. I
That
know what you're.
awesome, yeah.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, he's not Sirio. And then I realized
He's not
and then I
Sirio.
realized what you were referring to.
Even though he has a line in this chapter where he says, just so.
Yep, he does.
That's probably what the whole thing hinges on.
That's where it was set off.
Okay, I know
Yeah.
exactly what we're talking about now.
Hey,
Cool.
Lord Bolton has very pale eyes, the color of ice,
Oh,
and
God.
he's all into frequent leechings. They're
He's
the
a
secret of a long life.
vampire. He's a vampire. That's
That's
my
the Bolton theory.
the
Speaking of
Bolton theory.
Theories based in nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is all I've seen.
Oh, okay. No, it's silly, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I think his eyes are pale because of the leechings. Isn't that what the deal is? Like, he's pale because he's draining himself of blood.
No, it's because he's a vampire.
It's because he
Oh, okay. My mistake.
is. It's because he wears people's skin. That's my favorite fan theory because it's so.
Could you explain it? I know what it is, but explain
Yeah.
it for those who don't know.
Do we get more evidence for it later? Because I kind of want
We might,
him.
but the theory is that the reason that Boltons are like the flayed men is because Roose is super old, and like he flays his enemies to wear his skin. So it's the Bolton theory,
Yep.
and that's like the leechings are like part of it. I don't know. Someone can explain it better. It's weird.
And that he has lived for a very long time because he wears his son's skins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just people's skin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I read specifically that it was like he'll raise an heir and then just like die and
Caitlin's
take
already
over the
on
next guy.
Feast.
All right, guys. Caitlin, stop. Stop and wait. Jesus. Especially with Feast. Feast
Yeah,
is
no. That's
deep shit.
Feast is like once we start talking about that, we'll have to be really careful about spoilers because Feast is so
We'll probably
different
have to have
from the
shorter
show.
readings because we're gonna have to talk so much about the shit in it.
Yeah.
All right, but
Speaking
speaking of these readings, let's wrap this
Oh,
up.
I
What's
got
up?
one thing.
What's up?
I also thought it was interesting that Jaqen saw a potential in Arya enough to, one, give her the coin, but also when the freeing of the captives and taking out of the guards with, like hot boiling broth in your face, that he gives her the dagger and says, like, you should be bloody too.
Yeah, but what comes of that? When he says
She doesn't actually
No.
kill anyone then, but he's encouraging her that she should take a role.
I love that she's like, so do I still get a third death? It's like, a girl is greedy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
There are a couple quick things I want to point out before we wrap up. I really like the line, on your knees for the Lord of the Dreadfort, and Harrenhal knelt. That was a nice little thing. I like that Arya calls herself Nymeria,
Yep.
Yeah.
Nan for short. And I really like the bearer is all in black, Arya thought, like Qhorin. She filled Roose Bolton's cup and did not spill a drop.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's satisfied.
I love that
Yeah.
Roose is like, are you fond of animals? And I'm thinking like, oh, he's going to offer some work with animals, cool animals. And then he's like, leeches! Like, that's not animals. That's not animals, you liar.
Eric's calling me out for yawning.
All right,
let's
guys.
wrap up.
Let's wrap this up. We'll take one question.
Make it a good
Oh, the next reading.
Oh,
Next
yeah.
week's reading is Daenerys.
The House of the Undying.
House of the Undying.
The House of the Undying. Daenerys 4
I'm so excited.
to.
It's just fun.
We're gonna talk a long time about that chapter, so let's not.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I've already marked ahead of time.
Oh,
readings
thank you.
are.
Zach.
To John.
what page is Daenerys for?
Daenerys 4 is 696, and it'll go to John 7, which is the end of John 7, which is 771. So yeah, shorter reading for sure.
Thank you.
75 pages instead of 100. And then after that it'll be 2 more we have 3 book club meetings ahead of us, including this one, including the House of the Undying one. So
For Clash. 3 and then we're out of Clash?
3 and then we're done with Clash.
Yay.
Cool. Storm, Jamie.
Storm, which I just want to get through so we can be on Feast. I'm so excited for Feast and Dance.
Right. Drunk Disney Snow White taught us that bugs are not animals.
What's the one question we want to do? Oh, would you guys consider Feast and Dragons combined in chronological order?
No.
It's a fun way to read them, but for first time reading,
Yeah, just read them.
I think we should just mimic how everyone read them. as
Yeah,
they
we're
were
going to have to
released.
wait 5 years to read Dance.
Yeah.
Just like I had to.
What are we gonna do about spoilers in House of the? Because, I mean,
Oh.
Well, it's when we start, or it's the first chapter we cover. So you can meet with us, and then if you want to avoid, we won't get.
we'll
like,
be
deep into
careful because I can
spoilers,
think of I know what things you're talking about that are like things in later books. We'll glaze over those. We'll say like star them, take note because it's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, we'll do a
Yeah,
lot of
we
that.
can-
But there's
Play it
no
by
there's no
me.
Yeah,
point
we'll go case by case.
in explain. But there's things in House of the Undying where they're either things we all know have happened in the show,
Yeah.
or things that have already happened in the books.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll be careful.
I think we should call it because I'm tired from last night, guys.
Yeah,
I know.
there was a power outage, so
But we came back.
but we came back.
And you guys came back, so
yeah.
thank
Yeah.
you. Almost everyone came back. Make sure you thumbs up this stream right now.
Yeah.
If you want to support us, there are multitudes of ways.
You know the pitch.
What? No.
So Patreon is an awesome thing that you can give money to us through, and it goes to make everything on the channel better. We have this lovely sound recorder here that lets all of us talk, and sometimes many people at once, and is pretty nifty. And we have a good GoPro stand over there because the money from our patrons. And then if you give money, you also get cool things like access to behind the scenes and other extra content playlists and drawings. We did a drawing for a certain level of contributors. We're going to give them some stuff in the mail. And a certain other level, you get to hang with us for an hour or so. So yeah, it's worth it. Give as little or as much as you want.
And share book club with people. 'Cause
Yes, please share book club with people.
we had a great, very popular Drunk Disney live stream last night, which is awesome. But, we have a special passion for this series. We
Yes.
love doing it. We're going to keep doing it no matter what the numbers are, but it would be nice to share it with more people. So share it, get someone into the books, give them the, turn them on to Audible with the audiobooks if they don't have time to read. You can use
Yeah.
our code for a free book.
We'll be better about spoilers. I feel bad. We're sometimes really bad.
We're
I was bad
oftentimes
today, and I'm
really
sorry.
bad.
Yeah. We'll
It's
try to
it's
do
hard
that.
because then everything is just so connected.
Yeah.
But especially the farther we get now, like now we're getting to places where I'm like, I really want to be careful because it's stuff that doesn't even happen on the show.
Yeah, and
That's
that-
true.
that
We
would
are
be
getting
very
into like
careful about
really.
that. Yeah.
We're wading into new dangerous waters, and it'll be even choppier once we get to Feast. So
Yeah.
We're going to try to be better
Yeah.
about that now that we're getting away from the show. Because game is the show.
And it's hard sometimes to analyze these chapters in a way that's interesting without just spoiling the shit.
Because there's so much foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Like George foreshadows the hell out of things.
The joy of the books, a lot of the joy of the books is going back again and seeing things that you didn't miss and connecting dots that you didn't connect the first time. So we're doing our best. But thank you for holding us accountable as well. So that's an important part of your job as the viewer slash listener.
Thanks,
slash
guys.
Yeah.
fan.
Are we out?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
We're running out of gas. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, you have the reading right there in front of you. Next week's reading is Daenerys 4, page 696, to John 7, page 771. Kicking off with House of the Undying, as multiple people requested. We will also tweet when we're done with that first Daenerys chapter, just in case you want to avoid spoilers.
Yeah, just in case we
just in case.
fuck up.
But maybe try to join us, because that's a dense chapter, and it might be good for you to just hear a little bit of explaining of what all that means. But until then, I'm James.
I'm James.
I'm Chelsea.
I'm Joel.
This has been What's in
The books.
What's in the books?